Yeah, I can see myself as a child going to these Süddeutschen Treffen, yeah, where the yeah, okay, refugees, is that I'm not sure if refugees is the right word. They got expelled from what is now uh, Czech Republic and used to be Bohemia, and still is Bohemia, but then it used to be a part of the German Reich. Yeah. So what I recall was that my grandmother was or acted as a very weird person. But when I see the photographs that I found in our, archive, little family archive, um, she was a real lady. She was a very elegant lady, and I would even say she was a bit sophisticated. She wore elegant clothes, and I think she was very distinguished. She was different from the rest. You could tell this from every photograph. And she was keeping a certain distance to certain people. And I remember, yeah, so many little details that I didn't understand as a child, and I'm trying to understand as an adult. Because there was a big taboo, as in many families, I think, that whole history was, yeah, it was the Second World War and all that, was a big taboo in post-war Germany. They would not teach about it in the schools. The teachers they had most frequently had been to war themselves. So they were sort of, as I would say, probably told not to, influence the next generation with all these old stories, which to a certain extent I can understand. To another extreme, I think it's bad because they were not informed, a whole generation. I remember my mom, she said that was a taboo. You were not even allowed to ask anything. You could not talk about things. And I remember my other grandma, she would suffer from the memories until she died. She would never talk about this. Only very long ago stories when she was a child, and then it was Christmas. They would first feed the animals, and then they would gather to have dinner. Such stories I remember, but the rest, I know it's strange what I'm telling you, but I think my story is just one of so many stories of other people, that could tell a trillion stories as well. Then I'm a storyteller. Then I think, okay, probably my destiny is to write it down in a way that I'm trying really to that's also about my book about Russia. I try to be actually as neutral as possible, because I was just like, I was not observing in the sense of, observations and spying on people, but just, trying to find out and to understand why they do the way they do and why they are the way they are. And it's so interesting because I remember Leah, who emigrated to the United States. She's already died, and she would tell the stories that in front of the elephant in St. Petersburg, the cathedral. Gosh, I forgot the name. How can I forget the name of this cathedral? You know what I mean? It's the same as at the Brandenburger Tor after war in Germany. They would, here and there, in Leningrad and in Berlin, they would grow salad, cauliflower, whatever, so they had vegetables to eat, they had something to eat. So it was, it was such a nuisance to have a war. Why so many casualties? And I think now when we hear that within 20 years we might have 2 billion more people to feed on this planet, then I think it is, of course, an option to spread hatred and to start a war. If we don't learn to cope with problems of starvation, of too little water, in other ways. And if we don't, we could change our behavior and thinking and how we talk about others and think about others. Because otherwise we will all be part of a new war. Well, if you like that, drop the bomb. And if you don't, change.